Hi Sloths and welcome to Frogger for the BBC Micro. Now I've got a bit of a story I want to tell with this one, so I think we're just going to hop straight into it. There we go. Good. So when I was growing up, and when I first started playing games, when I was like around 5-6 years old, I kind of had my start with like the GBA and, believe it or not, the original Xbox, although it was, well, back then we called modding chipping, at least in England we did. So I had a chipped Xbox, or as it would be known now, a modded Xbox. I still actually have this and I still play with it every now and then, especially when I get a new game for it, I guess you could say. So yeah, anyway, my dad wanted me to experience the same games that he did when he was, well, starting out with games like in the 80s and 90s. So I played games that he liked, so we had things like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Doom, yes, when I was like 6 or 7 years old, which is not normal for a 6 or 7 year old to be playing, but you know what, it was different times back then, very different times, and my dad did not care at all. So yeah, and one of the other games was Frogger, basically. Not this version of Frogger though. He, I think the first place I played Frogger was some sort of bootleg, maybe. I can't remember if it was like an official port or a bootleg version, or like a bootleg port of Frogger, but for the GBA. And then I remember playing like, I guess it was sort of like a Frogger-esque game. It was an official Frogger game. I think it was like Frogger 2 or something. Oh, and now we get to... Wait, why is there a frog just on that log? Why is there a frog on the log? I don't remember a frog being on the log. Is that normal? Is the frog supposed to be on the log? Are we supposed to save the frog that's on the log? I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, so I ended up playing like Frogger 2, I think it was, for like the GBA as well. I could be completely wrong about that. Okay, oh, was it an extra life? Oh, we got a 1-up, I think. That's nice. So yeah, I had a little bit of a history with Frogger, and I like Frogger. I like Frogger enough. My dad eventually kind of just thought to himself, oh, Frogger's never really going to come back in any specific great way. And he's not wrong. Frogger really never came back in the way that it did when it first came out. And I mean, that's kind of a shame because it's had quite a lot of games since it came out. It's just unfortunately not been, you know, great games. I mean, I'm not going to say that the original Frogger is an absolutely industry masterpiece. Even back then it wasn't. It's a very simplistic game. It's very fun. And the thing that me and my dad thought about it was that this game is... Well, that didn't make any sense. Is that this game is not exactly what we'd call, you know, a useless game or a boring game, but it's a good game to waste time on. So, kind of like when you're just sitting around doing nothing and you get really bored, sometimes you just want to play a game, and this is a good game for that. And I don't blame him, because I could sit here for hours just playing this. And that's what I used to do as well when I was little. I used to just sit there for an hour or so and just try and see what I could do in Frogger. And oh, the fly! I keep forgetting about the fly. Did I just get... Oh no, I got a game over. Well, you know what, let's have one more round. Yeah, we'll have one more round. So, yeah, me and my dad always used to think of this as like a good game for like wasting time or You know, just when you're bored and you've got nothing else really to do. It was kind of like Microsoft's Space Cadet Pinball. I used to play that for hours as well, just wasting time. And you know what? It still holds up to this day that this is a game where you could just sit, relax, play the game, and not get overly frustrated at it. I mean, sometimes you can get overly frustrated when some bullshit happens, but you know what? It just exists. And then Crossy Roads came out. And honestly, Crossy Roads is basically this game, but a modern era version of it. But it's also not Frogger itself. It's more like its own thing. And now, I don't know if anyone who worked on the original Frogger or who worked with Atari or has even the license of Frogger had anything to do with Crossy Roads. But I hated that when I was growing up, and I had no idea why. Like, there was no reason for it. Everyone was playing it. Everyone loved it. People were like, oh, it's like that Frogger game that we used to play when we were little. It's like, I don't know. There's something about Crossy Roads that I just did not like. And eventually that hate kind of dissipated, and I gave it a go and enjoyed it. I mean, I wouldn't say I enjoy it now because, you know, it's just nothing but microtransactions and stuff like that. But you know what? It was fun for a while. And that's what Frogger is. It's fun for a while. You'll play it, you'll enjoy it for like an hour or so, and then you'll move on. And that's what a lot of games were as well back in like the mid-80s, the early 90s. Arcade games in general are just like that. And it's a bit of a shame that it is the way that it is. Because some of these games, if you gave them a nice new coat of paint, I mean, you're basically reselling the same game. But having that plus like extra features and new characters and unlockables really does set it apart, but it didn't get anywhere near as big as what it was when it first came out, this game. And a lot of arcade games had that same problem. Pac-Man is one of a few that has, like, seriously stood the test of time. And the reason why I'm thinking about this is because I've recently started playing some of the really old arcade games. I mean, we're talking... Oh, how did that happen? Anyway, we're talking games like Berserk, and that only ever had, like, one official sequel. How? Berserk was a really fun game. I mean, it was really irritating, but it was still a fun game. And it probably always will be. And then its sequel, I haven't played it yet, but I guess they kind of just never really cared. And I think the other thing that you have to think about with things like this is the developers, the companies who are behind these games. Sometimes they just want to make different games, sometimes they just don't really care. Sometimes they go bust like Atari did, basically. Even though Atari is kind of back these days. Oh no, the fly! No! Get on those tails. Fly, please disappear, thank you. But yeah, it's not just that, it's like Pong. Pong had... Will you stop, Fly? Pong had like this massive legacy. But after its initial release, even though it released multiple different versions of itself, it kind of never lived up to its legacy. It kind of always just, like, dissipated, and no one really seriously cared about Pong. I mean, I know, it's just Pong. But Pong, at the time, revolutionized arcade gaming, or home gaming as well. I guess, just a little bit. Or even like on-the-go gaming, or gaming at like a bar or a restaurant or something. And it's sort of like, how do these massive influential games just... Wait, what? Why did we die? Why did we die? What? I'm confused. But as I was trying to say, it's kind of strange that all these like influential games have just dissipated into complete and utter nothingness. After, like, their initial release, or maybe a handful of sequels, no one really cares about them anymore, and they lose all relevancy. And that's what's happened with this Frogger. That's what's happened with games like Pong, Berserk. I mean, Space Invaders. You've got a million sequels, and no one really talks about anything beyond the original Space Invaders. And it's like Asteroids as well. Oh, I completely forgot there's a time limit. That's probably how I died. But like games like Asteroids as well, it's just, after the initial release, never again was it really relevant. And I find that depressing. I hope that games like that come back someday, at least in a bigger way than what they've been trying to do for years. Because, I mean, Namco managed to do it plenty of times. I mean, Pac-Man's come back a million times. And they've also had, like, an insurgence or resurgence of interest in these old classic games with collections like the Namco Museum Archives, which I might play Volume 2 at some point, eventually, but not today. Reminiscing about old games is fun, but I think I'm going to end this here, so please like and subscribe, it's always free, and I'll see you later.